Sifu Raphael is the founder and host of Coaching Call, Heroes Rising, The Seer Show, and New Tip Daily. He works with individuals, groups, and businesses and helps them find clarity, purpose, and understanding of who they really are in business and personal life. Sifu Raphael has used his skills to develop a variety of multifaceted businesses in the martial arts and fitness industries. He owns and operates a 10,000 square foot martial arts and fitness facility in New York. Jose Escobar is an award-winning, nationally recognized personal development speaker, published author, and sales professional. He leads compelling, high-level communities consisting of entrepreneurs and advanced leaders through his two business models, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf and the Connected Leaders Academy. He is also the co-host of Heroes Rising.
Jose, how are you, my friend? Happy Friday.
I am fantastic as always. Happy Friday, and happy Friday to you. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I got to tell you, exceptional and getting better every day. You know how I roll. If I'm not getting better, I might as well stay in bed. And you know I don't sleep much, so.
Speaking of bed, actually, I am under the weather. I've been kind of sick for the last 2 days, including today. And if I look tired, it's because I am. And you know what I realized? I realized that as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we don't have the luxury to just lay in bed because we're sick. So yeah, we're here. Let's get this thing going. I'm excited. It's Friday. Let's crank it up.
Honey. I meant you should have some tea with honey. I wasn't calling you honey, by the way. Just so you know.
Hey, I'll take it.
But we have an exceptional guest coming on, Coach Arletta Allen. Hello, young lady. How are you today?
Hi there. How are you all doing today?
Excellent.
Wonderful. Yeah. Happy Friday to you guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So today, super excited. We have a great topic. And for me, it's the way we get to know each other, the way we get to ask questions, the way we facilitate things that are going to happen in our lives. And that's communication. And today's communication in today's world. What are your thoughts, Jose?
My thoughts are communication can make or break a company, a family, an individual, just about anything across the board. You have to be an effective communicator. And communication, there's so many different methods of how we communicate, from social media to copy to our words to our the way we dress to the way we talk to everything is communication. And by the way, quick shout out to Sam, Andra, Anthony, Katie, Nick. I mean, so many people are tuning in. We're glad you're live.
Yeah, love it. And Emilio's there too. He's saying hello. There he is.
I see. Awesome. Good to see you, Emilio.
So we had another gentleman who was going to be joining us, and either he's coming on or he's not coming on, but the show's going to go on, and we are super happy to have Arletta here with us because we know how powerful you are, young lady.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here today. I'd like to add a little bit more on that topic that you talked about. You talked about what communication is to all of us, and I like to wrap it up and call it kinesics. I like to talk about the things that you're saying without saying. Communication is so powerful and it's effective, and it's up to you how you choose to use it. I would advise that you be very careful how you communicate so that no one gets injured in the process.
Yes, so nobody gets
like
injured
that.
in the process. That is so good. So good, Arletta. And speaking of Arletta, I actually met Arletta at a BLN event. She was a speaker, powerful presenter at this event. And I said, she is a master communicator. And it's so fitting that we have Coach Arletta here with us today to talk about communication. And I'm not sure if that's her topic, but she is clearly a very articulate and well-spoken communicator. So let's continue. Austin Haynes, good to see you. Eric Konovalov in the house. We got a lot of awesome people here. So let's let's dive in. Sifu Raphael, we're going to start with you. I know we had another bit of an agenda, but we're going to go with the flow here. So we're going to start with you as opposed to our other guest. And first of all, for those of you who don't know Sifu Raphael, I know he's world renowned. So many people know him, but also a lot of people don't know him. So for those of you who don't know him, he is a world renowned martial artist. He has a massive 10,000 plus square foot facility in New York. And he also has 5 podcasts. That's right. I didn't say that incorrectly. He has 5 different podcasts that he facilitates on a regular basis. Amazing podcast. And this is one of them, which I'm the co-host of, which is Heroes Rising, right? And this is done twice a month, typically. Look at the background. I'm just loving the fact that I have this wonderful backdrop here. But enough about me. Back to Sifu Raphael. The guy is a coach. He's a speaker. He hosts live events around the country as well. He has some really cool stuff around the corner that you want to stay in tune with. Trust me. If you don't know Sifu Raphael, get to know him. We're going to make sure we stream his contact info at the bottom of this as he's talking. But let's dive in. We're going to go a bit into a Q&A format here with Sifu Raphael on communication. So the floor is yours. Let's welcome Sifu Raphael.
Okay, so Jose, where do I send the check to again? Thank you for that introduction. Really nice. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. So for me, communication really has made such a huge impact in my life. So today I want to talk to you is, how do you communicate? How do you communicate? How do you communicate every day with yourself? So I'd like this to be very interactive for today. So if I may, I'm going to ask you guys some questions, people. You can put it in the chat. You can join us, right? Be part of this process of communication. So I'm going to give you some thoughts, some ideas of what you may say. And Jose, you'll read them off to me because I'm not looking at that. I'm just thinking in my head. So is that okay with you guys? Jose, is that okay with you?
Of course.
And Arletta?
Of course.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? What's the first thought that you had this morning
when he went off the air? That was the end of his sentence. I'm just kidding. So this is the power of impromptu. You gotta just be able to run with it. And I think he's back. Watch this. Oh, look at that.
Sorry about that. So if your first thought was, how do we get rid of Raphael? Boom, it came through because I disappeared for a second, right? But what is that first thought that comes into your head? Because we're going from a sleeping state to a waking state, to a conscious state, to a subconscious state. What was that first thought? And if you guys don't mind, I'd love to hear about it. Jose?
My first thought is, sorry, a little thing in the air here, is what happened? That's my first thought. What happened? What about you, Arletta?
Well, my very first thought every day, to be honest with you, is always just being grateful that I'm still here. Just grateful for the breath in my body. Just looking up and telling God, thank you, that I'm still in the running. I'm still above ground. And that's always a plus for me to start my day off that way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You and I are very much alike, young lady. That's my first thought as well. And somebody in the comments said that how happy they are. When you think about the first thoughts that come into your mind and the words that you use to communicate to yourself, right? Is the first thought is like, oh, I need coffee, right? Or, oh, I had a terrible night. Or, oh, I have all these things I have to do. So that first part of your communication can reflect the rest of your day if you don't wake up on a positive note. And listen, a lot of times we set ourselves up for failure the night before because Did we watch a scary movie and then went right to bed? Did we watch the news and we heard all these terrible things that are going on and go right to bed? Because all night long, you're processing that. So when you wake up in the morning, if you wake up and you go, oh, another day, or it's Monday, who doesn't love Mondays? Arletta, you probably love Mondays because you wake up and you say, I'm alive. I'm
Yeah.
alive. Thank God.
Yeah. Mondays are one of my favorite days for sure.
Absolutely.
Very quickly, I've got to chime in here. It's like urgent. It's like super time sensitive, because when you asked me that question, I said, what happened? You look like a deer in headlights, right? You look like a cow staring at a new gate. You're like, okay. And then Arletta went, and I completely misunderstood your question. I thought you said, what was I thinking when you disappeared? I said, what happened? But to go back to that question, that's a more powerful or in-depth question. I don't wake up thinking like, what happened? What? Absolutely not. For me, that's if I'm in Vegas and I had a long night. That's a different conversation. But
that's a different one.
Then I wake up saying what happened. But normally, Leslie, good to see you. Jennifer Rogers, good to see you. Normally, it's very simple. What I do is I wake up with the first thoughts of how I went to bed, right? Which is in my book, Winning the Day. I talk about the last thoughts before you go to bed are the first thoughts you wake up to. And I go to bed grateful for my day. I go to bed like thanking the Lord. I go to bed thankful for my family, for my health, for my business, for the people that I serve, the people that are crossing my path. And I'm eager and excited because I plan my night or my day the night before. So I know exactly what's going to happen when I wake up. I'm ready to attack it head on. I'm eager, I'm anxious. So when I wake up and the alarm goes off, guess what? I am thriving and I'm excited and I am eternally grateful at that time, just like Arletta. So that answers your question more thoroughly.
Yeah, not what happened.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. So when you think about, right, and you're both, I think we're all related somehow because we're all of the same way. We wake up the same that way because the night before my intentions are, I go to sleep in gratitude. So the words I'm saying to myself, I'm speaking to God. I am asking for my family. I am asking not only for things, but I'm asking for solutions. If I have a situation happening, how do I solve it? And I ask that I can probably during my night, because this supercomputer can go to work while I rest. Right? So that's the same and the most important thing. So when we communicate the night before, we can wake up in that gratitude. It's like, whoa, I made it. Ooh, I can move my hands. Ooh, I can move my other hand. Yes. I have my body. So those first words that we can communicate with ourselves will set up our day. If we wake up, when people say, yeah, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, you need to sleep on the right side of the bed. Don't wake up on the wrong side. You need to be alert as to your own words. The words you say to yourselves can hurt you or enrich you. So what words do you say in the morning? So let me ask you, I really don't like living in a world of what ifs. But for anybody listening, if you don't normally say these amazing words to yourself, what if tomorrow morning you change that? You can't change it in the morning. You actually have to change it tonight before you go to sleep. Waking up, knowing that these are the words I'm going to say to myself. In gratitude, whatever words that you can come up with that are going to enrich your life. I think those are the most important words that we can communicate with ourselves. So the minute you're conscious, you want to reflect what it is that you want to do the rest of your day because you planned it the day before. And when we consider the what ifs in our lives, sometimes that creates doubt. That's why I said I had humor me for a minute on this one. But what if tomorrow you did wake up with different words instead of, oh, where's my coffee? I can't think. Instead of saying, wow, like Arletta and Jose say, I'm grateful, I'm alive. I have an opportunity to make a difference, not only in my life, but in the life of those around me. So if you speak the words that are going to impact you, you will have a better day. So what if your first words every morning shape the rest of not just your day, but your whole existence? What if tomorrow morning's words shaped everything for you? I got to tell you, communication starts with us. Everything. Jose, you said it before. It makes a business, it makes a family, it makes a friendship, but it's the words we choose.
Mm.
If you see me outside and I'm not wearing a suit and I'm in jeans and hanging out, and even if I go to a bar, you will not see me cursing. And they're like, oh, relax. And I could be with people who are cursing, and that's just the way they communicate. And I'm not knocking them because that's how they do it. I think there's better ways to communicate. So if I want to be true to myself always, then I should be the same way I communicate, whether it's to my children, to someone else's children, to an adult, to a teenager, to somebody who's, 100 years older than me. It does not matter. But you need to be able to communicate as if you were talking. And I'm going to say this, and some people may go, oh, he's so full of baloney. As if you were communicating with God. In person. Would you curse? Would you throw doubts? Or would you tell him your true feelings? How would you communicate with God if you actually, let's say you didn't die, right? Let's say you didn't die to communicate. But let's say, I don't know where, he just popped up. How would you communicate? What are the words you would use? Would you use words that come from the heart? Words that are amazing and impactful? And words that, before you say them, because he is God, he knows you're going to say them anyway, but would you say them? Would you have doubt? Or would you be clear? So I want you to think about your communication, not just with the people that you're trying to impress, but to communicate with the most important person you need to impress. Besides God, that's you. Impress yourself. So if you're very used to using foul language, there's better words that you can use. When I was a kid, I used foul language. Then I grew up. At heart, I'm still a kid. I just don't use that language, right? So consider the words you use every day. If we were in a conversation and the conversation meant me asking you for $100 million, how would I communicate that with you? What's the difference of if I was just asking you for $1? The difference is in the words I use, the tonality, the desire, the voice inflection, all these different things. Both of you are speakers. Am I lying when I say that we need to focus on the words we use in order to communicate better?
Oh, I 100% agree. I 150% agree. If there's 150%, but I agree in totality with what you're saying, because I not only believe that the words that we speak shape that moment, but I also believe that the attitude that you choose along with those words, it cultivates and it increases your altitude. So you determine each and every day what level you'll remain at. And, you know, if you're doing downward communication and you're speaking negative self-talk and you're doing all these things that are just getting you started on the wrong foot, then you can expect for things to flow not only throughout that day, but, you know, you've set the precedence for the day with your words, because words are powerful. And it's not only stated biblically, but we know just by what we've seen, what we produced, with what we put out there in the universe, what we ask for. And so we know that the power of death and life are in our tongue. And so when you think of it, and especially the way that you bought it, Sifu, I love the fact that you said that, like, talk to me like you're talking to God, because also it's a level of respect. You either honor or disrespect people with your words. And even being respectful enough to know whether or not this is a manner in which they communicate, I think it's powerful that you learn temperance, self-control, because that's what it takes to be able to define your communication that way. It's not to say that we always get it right, but there is a choice that's always there. It's always prevalent. It's always an option, but the choice is yours.
That's so powerful. I actually agree with both of you and what you're saying. There is a frequency to the level of the words you use and the way you articulate yourself and how you come across to who you're talking to, whether it's talking to one person or talking to an audience, right? There is a frequency there, and your words are going to attract or they're going to repel. And it's just that simple. People are going to be drawn closer to you, or they're going to be drawn away from you. And some people, if you're using certain words like you were talking about, are going to be attracted to that, and you're going to attract those individuals. But the question is, on what plane are you trying to play in? You know, on what level are you trying to play at? You know, what are your core values? What are your, you know, things that you live by? And that kind of determines your circle and your surroundings. And anybody who starts off the day wrong, kind of like what you were saying on the wrong side of the bed, I'm going to go back to that statement. Anybody who starts off on the wrong side of the bed and they bring that to me, I tell them respectfully, why don't you go back to your bed and start over and get out on the other side and come back to me and let's continue the conversation. But don't bring that drama to me. But anyway, back to you.
Get on the right side of the bed. Absolutely. So, you know, being that communication is so relevant to me, everything that I do, you know, when either I'm teaching a little kid, the oldest person I've ever taught was 102 years old. And the fact that after I taught them, they came and asked me questions, man, that was just beautiful. And because they still saw possibilities, right? So as I embark on this new venture of mine, I'm opening up a communication center here in New York and online. So these are the thoughts that establish how we communicate on a regular basis. I'm quite passionate about communication for the sole reason that we must do it in order to live a life worth living, and we must do it well. So on Friday, April 5th, we're going to have a masterclass with some truly exceptional speakers from 2:30 to 4:30. It's going to be, I'm going to be next week or next couple of weeks, I'm going to give out the link for everybody who wants to join. We're not charging for this class. We're going to do it as a service to the community to help and guide people on how to communicate better. It's going to be from 2:30 to 4:30, Friday, April 5th. So think about the speakers who will touch upon different aspects of communication. I know Jose is going to be there, and we're going to have other people. We never know. We may have the grace of Arletta joining us that day. But consider joining us, because communication has so many different levels, from facial to physical to words to intonations to every little aspect. And when we can communicate better, guess what? We get more out of life. We get more out of life. When you propose to somebody, you're asking, right? So questions are part of communication. Answers are part of communication, how we answer. So all of these things are going to play a huge effect, and I hope you guys will join us. I want to take you guys to a different aspect of communication. And it's when I asked Jose Escobar to be my co-host, and he said yes. And I was thrilled. Not only because he has an amazing DJ voice, but he actually does. Jose Escobar is an award-winning, nationally recognized personal development speaker 10 times, maybe 10, maybe 9, maybe 50 by the time we keep going. Author, published author, has over 25 years as a sales professional. He's not only a husband, but a great father to 5 children. Jose, I am jealous, my friend. He leads compelling high-level communications communities consisting of entrepreneurs and advanced leaders through 2, not 1, but 2 multi-6-figure business models, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf and the Connected Leaders Academy. Jose is exceptional in his presentations, where he has reached audiences collectively over 30 million and radiates throughout his dynamic coaching programs, inspiring his international 300 plus entrepreneur and executive clientele to master their personal and professional excellence. And I too happen to be part of both of those. So Jose, I'm so grateful that you said yes.
That is awesome. I am grateful that I said yes too. And, or that you said yes too. No, that I said yes. Sorry, I was looking for something and I can't seem to find it, and we're gonna roll without it. So I had a visual I wanted to show you guys. But so listen, in communication, thank you for that amazing introduction. And I saw the transition coming. I didn't realize it was coming, but hey, we got to roll with the punches, as they say, right? So let's keep it. I'm going to keep it nice and tight for you guys today. I'm going to give you some little golden nuggets. If you just walk away with one golden nugget, that's my goal, right? I'm not looking to make sure, because I know a lot of you guys that are watching right now, and there's plenty of folks catching on different platforms. A lot of you are already well equipped in communication. You're strong communicators. And I know that for a fact because I've enrolled many of you in the CLA. And that tells me that if you're there, then you're a strong communicator. So I know that much about you. So one thing I will say is there's a really powerful quote by Peter Drucker. And how many of you know Peter Drucker out there? Let me see a raise of hands, virtual hands, right, in the comments. I have his book here somewhere. But I'm not going to waste my time looking for it. And he says the most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said, right? The most important thing in communication is to listen for what isn't being said, right? And it's amazing because we think we know what somebody is saying a lot of times, but we don't. And a lot of times people give you smoke screens in communication, right? They say something and you take it and you're like, okay, I see what you mean, but that's not really what they mean. You have to be able to dive deeper and take that one step further. How many of you guys have had a phone call from somebody and they're like, hey, and you haven't heard from this person in a long time, right? They're like, hey, how are you doing? It's good, awesome. How are you? Awesome, right? And then it's like, so listen, I haven't talked to you in a long time, and I really just wanted to catch up with you and say hi and see how you're doing, blah, 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 blah. In my mind, I know something is coming, right? I don't know what they're going to pitch me, but something is coming because that's not why they called me, right? How many of you can resonate with that out there, right? And let me know in the comments. I love to hear it. Like, you know, they're either going to try to sell you something, they're going to try to invite you to something, they're going to try to ask for money, they're going to try to, I mean, we could go into all kinds of different things that they're going to ask, but they're going to do something. And that's the real reason why they're reaching out to you, right? So, but as you become a master communicator and you improve in communication, you're going to start to improve in these areas where you can see things coming. It's almost like having a superpower where you can kind of predict what they're going to say without even saying it yet. You already know what the real message is here, what the real thing that's going on here. And guess what? It's like a chess match, right? And I'm coming at you from communication on a sales perspective right now, because and guess what? Everything is sales. Can I get an amen out there, somebody?
Amen.
Everything is sales. Everything is sales. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, you have a job. I don't care if you're unemployed. if you have a spouse, if you have children, if you have friends, if you have parents, if you have a sibling, if you have a pulse, you are selling at some point. So in the sales world, you have to understand it all goes down to communication, whether somebody wants to be in your circle or not, whether somebody wants to put money in your pockets as a potential client or not, right? You have to, it's a chess match. And it's a chess match of communication. And you have to be equipped as a master communicator. I'll say that again. I didn't say communicator. You have to become a master communicator to be able to know I need to be 2 steps ahead. And that comes because you've had enough conversations, you've had enough things that have happened to you that were unpleasant, right? Positive and negative. Life isn't simple. Let me tell you something. Every time you get burned in life and in business, take that as a blessing in disguise, because all that does is equips you with life experience. And the more life experience you have, you're going to start to be able to sniff out what's coming. You're going to start to have a sixth sense of like, this person is for me or isn't for me. You're going to start to know without somebody even saying it. I already know where you're going to go with this conversation, because you're a master communicator. So you have to develop that skill set. It's a skill to be an effective communicator. How many of you consider yourself to be a master communicator? I want you to put it in the comments wherever you're watching right now. Just say, yes, I am, or I'm working on it, or no, I'm not, right? And it's okay to be completely honest. Nobody's judging you here. So just know that good communication is, there's like a bridge, right? There is confusion and there is clarity on both sides of the spectrum. You have to have the ability to be a good communicator so that you put people into extreme clarity of what it is you're trying to get them to do, or the message you're trying to get across. Very, very important. And I've said this before, communication is critical, especially in the space of your family. Because leadership begins where? With yourself. You have to lead yourself at a high level in order to be a strong leader. And let me tell you something, powerful leaders are phenomenal communicators. So if you want to be a strong leader, you have to be a strong communicator. Good to see you, Trevor. And thank you for I'm working on it. I'm working on it. You know what that tells me? That tells me that Trevor has a humble spirit. It tells me that he is understands where he is, and he is eager to grow. And I can rock with somebody like that any day of the week. I'll tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. So that being the case, is when it comes to the communication piece in business, as a leader, you have to be an effective, powerful master communicator, right? And leadership begins with ourselves, and then it begins in the household. Before you ever take it to your business world or your professional realm, you have to be a powerful leader by yourself in terms of how you lead yourself. What time are you waking up? What time are you going to bed? What does your nutrition look like? Do you take care of your health, right? Are you prayerful? Is your spiritual life intact? Is your emotional state where it needs to be? Is the intellect being stimulated? How are you leading yourself? That's an important question. And you can only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have. So you can't show up as an effective leader in places and not be an effective leader with yourself. It doesn't work that way. And if you think you're going to get far doing that, and you've been good, slick enough to kind of like show up as a powerful leader here, and then you suck over here, especially with yourself, let me tell you something, that's not sustainable. It is not sustainable, and you're going to crash and burn before you know it. And the sucky part is you're going to crash and burn at the time that you least expect it, at the wrong time when you don't want it. So you got to be real. You got to be authentic. You got to be genuine. You got to be transparent. And I always say, your actions speak so loudly, I hear not what you say. A lot of times I don't even have to hear somebody talk. I just already know what they're about based on their actions. So how are you showing up with your daily actions? Not only with yourself, but in your household. You cannot be a scumbag husband or a completely careless father and then go out there and say, I'm an amazing leader. It just doesn't work that way. Leadership is across the board. And one of the backbones of leadership is communication. That's just one component of leadership. So I want all of you that are here today live or catching the replay, A, to engage, and thank you for engaging, and B, to let us know if you're here in the replay, put hashtag replay and let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about today. But also, I want you to take an inventory of where you are in your leadership. Where are you in your communication level? It's important. So I'm going to give you one example of how I show up in communication in my marriage. I can give you examples in my business. I can give you examples in my parenting. I can give you examples in my health and wellness space. I can give you examples, and I'm going to give you one right now in my marriage. How do I communicate effectively in my marriage? Well, when my wife does something that I'm not thrilled about, I'm not like, I hate it when you. I could do that, right? And she's not here, so that's not fair. She can say the same thing to me and be like, I hate when you, Jose, you know, right? But it's way more effective in communication to say, hey, you know what, Katie, when you do this, it makes me feel like this. That's powerful communication. Instead of coming at somebody, right? We have to be good at having a high EQ, emotional quotient. I care way more about EQ than I care about IQ. It's very rare that somebody will find me, you know, cursing up a storm or going at somebody head on in an argument because I'm not that guy. Now, can I be confrontational? Well, push me the wrong way, you can find out. I'm just kidding. Can I be confrontational? Yes, I can. You're right. I have a martial arts background. I used to be a reckless character. I have a rough past. So do I have it in me to do that? Of course. But I'm telling you right now, the higher you rise, right, there's less traffic on the high road. I'll tell you that right now. A great friend and mentor of mine, Daniel Gomez, just told me the other day, he's like, the higher you rise, the thinner the air gets. Mm-hmm. Right? So ultimately, in this situation here, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I have to be able to communicate effectively in my own home with my wife, right? So we have to be able to talk on that level and understand each other without throwing daggers at each other, without fighting and screaming and yelling and raising our voices. We don't yell and scream in this house. We don't throw objects in this house. We don't curse at each other. We don't do crazy things here. You know why? Because I'm a leader. She's a leader. We understand communication is critical. And guess who's watching? The children. So maybe this is resonating with somebody out there. And if it is, I'm glad. But I'm telling you right now, and by no means am I saying I'm coming to you from the pulpit like I've arrived and I have a perfect marriage. No, because it doesn't exist. But I'm telling you, there's a way to go about it to last. Right? And I'm just giving you a basic thing. And so my wife and I, we have this thing called marriage meetings. This is a great book that I've dissected multiple times. Marriage Meetings for Lasting Love. If you've never read this book, I encourage you to get it like yesterday. Marcia Naomi Berger is the author, and it's been dissected multiple times here in great ways. And we have a journal. It's a marriage journal. So we sit down once a week and we talk about, what does she love about me? What do I love about her? Right? I appreciate, you know what, Katie? I appreciate A, B, and C about you. 3 or 5 things. This week, and it's weekly. So this week, I appreciated when you did this, when this happened, or I just generally appreciate this about you. And then I go, or vice versa, right? So we share about that. And then we go into, well, let's look at our calendar and let's look at some to-do list items that you would like me to do this week that are important to you that maybe I have overlooked, whatever, and vice versa. Some things that I think would be great if you would handle this week on your end, right? To-do list items for both of us. And then we plan for fun. And in the process of the to-do list, we look at, finances. Is there something I should be aware of or you should be aware of? Or maybe our calendars, I'm going to be away this weekend. And the last thing I want, which has happened in the past, is I have a trip coming. I'm like, oh, by the way, this weekend I'm going to be in New Jersey. And she's going to be like, huh? New Jersey? What? I thought we were going to the park. That's communication. So we have to get on the same page in our calendar every single week, not only on to-do list items, but also knowing what's happening in our family, in our dynamic and whatever. And then after that, we go into the, let's plan for fun. Let's plan something that we're going to do together as a couple to enrich our marriage, and something we can do as a family, right? And plan for fun. And then the fourth thing is challenges, right? So what is something that this past week is frustrating you, or maybe something that happened that you want to bring to my attention and my awareness in a communication discussion, where I'm not going to sit here and get defensive. I'm not going to give you 50 excuses as to why it's okay what I did and justify. No, I'm going to listen to you because it matters to you and you feel a certain way about it. So I'm going to address it. I'm going to look to improve it, right? And then I will tell her something about her as well. And this is our chance to air out things that are on our mind. Because in marriage and in business and in life and in parenting, you can't just sweep things under the rug. You have to be able to communicate. And so many people don't communicate because they're non-confrontational. But let me tell you something. There's a healthy balance to that. It's okay. And I encourage being non-confrontational, but I discourage not talking about something that's on your heart. And the important way to do that is to show up. And I'll give you one line, and I'm going to turn it over back to Sifu here. There's one line that another mentor of mine, John Coquinos, who's out there, and you know him, Rafael, he said to me, Jose, whenever you confront somebody about a challenge, something that's on your heart that's bothering you, whatever, don't go at them. Don't hit them in the chest, in the middle, and be like, I can't believe you. Why would you? You know what I heard about you? Like, people, when they come at you that way, what happens automatically in communication? What do I do? Right? I get defensive. Hands up, right? I get defensive, and I'm like, whoa, back up. Do you know who you're talking to? Right? That kind of approach, right? So why don't you back yourself up, right? Then it becomes like a confrontational thing. Whether it's a verbal confrontation or it's a physical confrontation, it becomes aggressive when somebody comes at you aggressively. So the way you show up to communicate something that is upsetting you or bothering you, or something that you heard, or somebody said, oh, did you know so-and-so said this about you? I just had one of those conversations last week. Now, I don't need to name names, but somebody said to this person, by the way, this person is saying this behind your back. You might want to, check your circle. And I'm like, they said that about me? I'm like, I don't talk negatively about anybody. And if anybody tells you that I said something negative about you, you need to check them. Because everybody who knows me knows that I don't talk trash about people. I just don't have the energy for it. I don't have the time for it. And I believe in you reap what you sow. So it's just that simple. So my line that I want to drop here is simple. The line is quite powerful. Hey, Arletta, I want to ask you a question, and ultimately what I'm looking to do is I'm just seeking to understand. I heard X, or the other day when you did this, or whatever. I'm just seeking to understand, and I would love for you to kind of give me some more insight, because maybe I'm misunderstanding or maybe misinterpreted or whatever. So please enlighten me. That is how you approach confrontation. That's how I do it in marriage. That's how I do it in parenting. That's how I do it in business. And hopefully that serves you today. Thank you so much.
Wow. Very powerful. So much information. I hope everybody was taking notes. And if you missed on taking notes, you can watch the replay. Before we bring Arletta in, and Jose is going to introduce her, we are going to take a quick look, because if you don't belong to Connected Leaders Academy, why not? Hello.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Boom.
I just want to join. Where do I sign up? I'm just kidding. All right. Let me
I
go
know this
ahead.
guy, Jose, he's really amazing. You should reach out to him for sure.
Yeah. Just check out connectedleadersacademy.com if anybody's interested. I love being a sponsor of this show and, of course, co-hosting with the amazing Sifu Raphael. And we have an amazing, amazing speaker for you guys today. And it was a no-brainer. I saw this powerful speaker talk on a stage at the BLN with the great JR, and I was like, wow, she rocked the house. I absolutely was taken aback. Like, this is a powerhouse speaker. Her story, my goodness, her story is one that is like, wow, like it's like a wow factor story. And to see everything she's gone through and where she is now and where she's headed and the great things she's doing, folks, if you're not sitting down and you don't have your seatbelt on, I'm telling you right now, it's about to go down. All right. So this speaker is a speaker trainer coach. She teaches speakers how to become better speakers. She is phenomenal in that space. That's her area of mastery, among many other things. She's obviously an effective communicator. She's a TEDx speaker. That book behind you is not decoration. That book behind her is not decoration. She is a TEDx speaker. She is a best-selling author. And she's an international award-winning speaker. She is phenomenal. So without further ado, I would love to bring to you guys Coach Arletta Allen. The floor is yours.
Oh my goodness. What an introduction. I'm so excited to be here. And before I get started, I wanted to look at what's already been said. And so we started off with Sifu telling us a little bit about how we communicate with ourselves. That's where that focus was. And then we moseyed on down Jose's lane, and he talked to us about how we communicate in relationships. And I'd like to put a little bit of focus on how we communicate with others. So being an authenticity expert and also being a communications development specialist, I like to help those who are aspiring and emerging speakers be able to find their authentic voice. And what's so important about authenticity, what's important about finding your authentic voice is the fact that it's okay not to be like everyone else because you found doubt in who you are. You look at you and you look in the mirror, and it goes back to that self-talk piece. And you've kind of counted yourself off. You see others who are hugely successful in different spaces, and you almost mirror them. You tend to try to mock or even repeat what you see. And I want you to know that you carry something special that's not in the world. You carry something that is hugely identified only by you, that only you can deliver, and only you have the ability to be able to put into the world. I learned a long time ago that it was time out for me living in normative conformity. I'm just going to share with you just a little bit of my story, just to give you a little bit more perspective on who I am, how I am, and why I am. Communications was not always it was not always the field that I thought that I was going to end up in. However, I was that little girl that was the one that aunties would tell, man, she talked too much. Oh, she always talking. Oh, that's just Arletta, and she's over there, but they call me Letty. That's just Arletta. She's over there, talking as usual. But who'd have thought that the kid that talked too much in class and the kid who talked too much at the family picnics and things like that would turn out to be an international award-winning speaker, because that was a call that was on my life. And so I learned to bask in the things that make me unique. And the first thing that I taught myself was ownership, being myself unapologetically, being okay with me, not worrying so much about how other people took me in, but being more concerned about who I am and what I'm putting out into the world. It goes back into you thinking about how you would want to be treated as an individual. I've had so many times in my life where I was treated beneath my means, and not just by outsiders. I'm talking about the way that I used to treat myself. And it was defined by my background. You see, I come from a poverty-stricken background. I come from a place where we barely had enough to eat. There was we slept on dirt floors, many times roach infested, vulnerable communities and drug deals and you name it, needles on the ground where I walk. And as a kid, this is what I saw. But that's what went on the outside. Let me talk to you about what went on the inside. On the inside of my home, it was no cakewalk. I came from dysfunctionality. And I like to kind of sum it up this way. I had a father who suffered from PTSD before PTSD was a thing. Before they labeled it and called it a name, my father was wreaking havoc in our household. I mean, I'm talking about from beating the brakes off my mother daily. And what do I mean by beating the brakes? For some of you who may not understand slang, I'll just break it down for you. He pounded my mom to a bloody pulse in front of us kids and did not care how we received it. He did not care that we were watching. You heard earlier how Jose talked about how his children are watching how he has a relationship with his wife. Well, I had a father who just didn't care. He didn't care what we saw. As a matter of fact, he didn't stop there. He decided to beat us too. And so my father would go through these spouts where he had flashbacks of when he was in the Army, and he would put us in his boot camp stanzas. And I remember and recall one time he put me in a corner for over 24 hours. I had to stand in a corner. And I was so afraid to leave this corner that I was literally woke up standing in the corner, soaked in my own feces and urine, because I was that deathly afraid of my father. My father had a piano bench that he would strap us to. And he said by ways of his, what he had already suffered through, he was not going to beat his clothing because he paid too much for it. So he would beat our naked skin until it would bleed and not even be able to go to school for weeks at a time. When you talk about pain and you talk about knowing particular different backgrounds, I know hell because I came through it with gasoline underwear on and I lived to tell the story. So when I step on a stage, the conviction of who I am and what I've endured, that's what stands out front. And so I've made it my business to help release people from the idea that they have to be anyone other than themselves, because our background does not define us. Where we come from and how we started does not define where we're headed or even the trajectory of where we're going. You know, see, I have a mindset that I believe that anything is possible. I believe that I'm worthy of the thing that I believe that is possible. So I counted myself worthy. I changed my mindset and I went through a number of different things to get to the place of where I am today. But my biggest message is that what was possible for me is also possible for you. Growing up in Yazoo City, Mississippi, and then making my way to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, where the population of people were 98% white, where I was like less than 1.7% of the population was Black people. And so I lived in what I like to call normative conformity. And what normative conformity is where you're willing to do just about anything to create a sense of belonging, to feel like you belong in a space. Well, needless to say, I got so tired that my tire got tired of pretending to be something that I wasn't. And so I decided to count myself worthy. And when I did that, that's when life changed altogether for me. And not only did it change for me, it changed for those people that were waiting up the road for me to arrive. It changed for them too. So when I talk about stepping on a stage and how we communicate with others, what I mean by that is keeping your conviction on the forefront. Speak to people the way that you would want to be spoken to. Handle people with the care to know that you don't know the journey that it took for them to get where they are today. If a person shows up late to a meeting, look, recognize the fact that you don't know what could have happened in the background that caused them to be late. So before you get up in arms and get all up in your emotions and being concerned about their journey, I want you to consider their journey and remember that there was one point where you didn't have an excuse either. And I want you to learn how to be more compassionate towards people, even in your delivery. How you talk to people matters. How people see you matters through your communication. And so I learned that there's about 6 anchors of acceleration. I'm going to go through them really, really fast. So if you're out there and you're writing, you got notes, I want you to write this down. There are absolutely 6 foundational principles that you need in order to be able to emerge and aspire to become an incredible master communicator, as Jose so eloquently put earlier. The first thing you're going to want to do is own your authority. If you got a story and you know you come from somewhere, own where you came from. Stop making up excuses. Stop pretending that what happened to you didn't happen to you. Heal from it, learn from it, share it, and be impactful and influence someone else's life so they can be better because of you. The second anchor that I want to get into is authenticity, which to me is the most powerful anchor. This anchor of acceleration determines not only how you see yourself, but how you show up. The confidence in being you, truly who you are, is probably one of the most important tools that I'm going to give you on today. If you're not operating in authenticity, you need to figure out what that means, and you need to get all the way into it, because you're special. You're uniquely made, and there's no one else like you. So why are you hiding in the shadows of others? It's time that you had your own coming out party. The third anchor of acceleration is going to be your audience. Whenever you step onto a stage or whenever you are speaking to other individuals, know who's in front of you. Do your research. Make sure you take the time to always customize the experience to that individual so that they know that they're seen, they're valued, and they're heard. Those are the most critical components of knowing your audience. And once you know your audience, I want you to mosey on over into our fourth anchor, which is accountability. Who are you holding yourself accountable to outside of yourself? Outside of you, who else are you holding yourself accountable to? Now, I'm not just going to throw myself out there, but you know what? Maybe I will. If you're out there and you're emerging, aspiring speaker, and you have a message that you know you want to share, you need a coach. You need someone in your corner. And I don't really do group coaching, but however, I do offer group challenges. And I also do one-to-one coaching, mainly because I think that some individuals need you to look only at what they have going on, and you don't have 125 other people viewing down their neck while they're trying to figure out what's the best path for them. And so I chose to do only one-to-one coaching. The next thing, get you a mentor, get you a coach, and have someone that's going to hold you accountable to the dreams and the goals that you set for yourself in the trajectory of your life. The fifth element I want you to get into is articulation. Know your message, know it well, and be powerful in how you say, what you say, and what comes next after that. It's not a cakewalk and it's not easy, but the thing about communication is it can be learned. Okay. So it's something that if you practice and you practice and you practice, that will make progress, not perfection, because we're not looking for perfection. We don't need perfection. We need progress. So what it takes to move yourself ahead, being very articulate and being very clear on your messaging. And lastly, the final and sixth anchor is achievement. You want to make sure that you're celebrating all your wins, no matter how great and no matter how small. You are deserving and worthy of a celebration every time you reach a milestone. And even those times where you sit on the sideline and you got to talk yourself from off that space, you are worthy of celebration. And I want you to know how to be able to celebrate achievement, because without setting a bar, if you don't know exactly what the goals are, it's hard to actually know when it's time to celebrate. So I want you to know that today is, in order for you to accelerate as an aspiring and emerging speaker, you have to first take ownership of who you are, step all the way into authenticity, be brave and be bold. Don't be ashamed of your story. Someone out there needs it. I like to say it this way, and then I'm going to take my seat. Whenever you are stepping onto a stage, there's always going to be fear. You're going to be fearful of what people are going to think, what people are going to say, what the outcome will be. But I want you to carry this with you. Fear can always come along, but it cannot drive. It's okay. Some people even said, hey, I'm going to put fear over in my passenger seat. That's too close to me. That's too close to me. Okay, I'm going to put fear in the back seat because I can't even give it that much, because I'm driving up here, okay? I can't give you that much play on what I got going on. But if it just so happens that when I get to my stage and fear decides to join me, I'm going to use that fear to fuel, knowing that there's someone out there waiting on my message. Someone out there's life is going to be changed because I was courageous, because I was confident, and because I was willing to share my story. My name is Arletta Allen, and I'm definitely an authenticity expert, but I'm also a communications development coach. If you're looking for someone to help you on your journey, then I'd be the one that you're looking for. I want to thank you all so much for having me here today.
Wowee.
Mic drop. What? But be
That was
careful.
excellent.
Make sure you drop a fake mic because they're getting more expensive nowadays.
Yeah, no, as you guys could see, this is what I saw in person. And in person is always like an extra level of like right? So like I really enjoyed you today, Coach Arletta. You were phenomenal as always, and just really stepping into your world at a very high level. And the impact that you're creating, the ripple effect, the butterfly effect, is very real. So thank you for being here and sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. What can I say? Communication is everything, right? And there are so many different aspects to communicate and how we communicate. And you both brought that forward. The way you communicate with your wife, Jose, is exceptional. I like the fact that you don't just say something without understanding how she's receiving it, right? Because that's being conscious of her feelings. And it works both ways in communication. I think sometimes people, they just want to get out what they have and they don't care the effect that it has on others. But when we bring it with our heart, I think it makes a huge difference for sure.
I love that.
Amazing. Very nice.
So,
well, this is great. This was an awesome episode today. I know a lot of people out there. I saw a lot of wows and fires and exactly exclamation marks. So this was good. Thank you so much to both of you.
Awesome.
yeah, you definitely lit up the stage, young lady. Thank you for being here for us. We truly appreciate you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on Heroes Rising. This show is on twice a month. And I got to tell you, the best decision I made last year was to ask Jose, what are you doing on Friday? And he said, I'm going to join you. So thank you, Jose. Appreciate you, my friend. All right. Last comments before we go.
I'm just eternally grateful for being here on today. Thank you for providing this space. And thank you once again for allowing my voice to be heard.
It's a powerful
Wonderful.
voice.
Thank you so much. And my last statement is very simple. Whatever you heard here today, I want you to take something. You don't have to take a lot of things. If you want to take a lot of things, go for it, right? If you're an overachiever. But take one thing that you heard today and see how you can apply it today in your life and or your business. Because information without implementation is just head knowledge, right? So see how you can get traction, how the rubber can meet the road based on the application of a thought, a principle, an idea that you heard here today. And we hope that it really helps you get to that next phase of your life, whatever that is.
Yes. And when you wake up tomorrow morning and you think of something, remember this show. We'll see you guys next time.